So, first let's work some factoring problems. We're going to try and do 4 of each today. So that means no nonsense. You got to get through it.
Yeah, what's up?
All right, so factoring. X squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. If I'm solving this by factoring, that means I'm going to have to do what? Factor it, okay? So in order to factor one of these, we look at the last number, which is 6. And we have to find factors of 6 that add to equal 5, right? It'll factor into 2 parentheses, right? What are my factors of 6 that add to equal 5? 3 and 2. So those have to be the numbers at the end. What is x squared going to break down into?
X.
X and x. And what are the signs going to be?
Plus.
They both have to be plus, right? Because there's no negatives in here at all, is there? Okay, remember this plus tells us to add, and every time we add, our signs are going to be the same. And they will be the sign under the word same. So they're both pluses. Am I done?
No.
No, all I did was factor it. Now we have to set both parentheses equal to 0. So x plus 3 equals 0. X plus 2 equals 0. Now am I done?
No.
No.
Is x by itself yet?
No.
No. What do we have to do here?
Minus
Minus 3
3.
and minus 2. You get negative 3.
So x equals negative 3 and x equals negative 2. And those are my answers.
Wow.
Questions on what I did there?
Nope.
All right, write this one down. X squared minus 9x minus 36 equals 0. Solve by factoring. No, write that at the top. Okay. When I'm factoring, it's going to factor into what? 2 parentheses. The x squared has to break down into what? X and x. This sign tells me to subtract, and every time I subtract, my signs are going to be different. So one's a plus, one's a minus. I gotta find factors of what? No.
I mean,
Factors of 36 that subtract to give you 9, right? So, we've got 1 and 36. 36 minus 1 is what? 35, so that's not it. 2 and
14, no.
No, 2 and
18. 18 minus 2 is
16.
16, that's not it.
12, that's it. 12 minus 3 is
Right, 3 and 12. And 12 minus 3 equals 9. Okay?
negative.
Now, hold, let me explain it, okay? You can say it as fast as you want, anytime that you want to, but other people aren't hearing it. 3 and 12 are the numbers we're going to use. Because our signs are different, it does matter which one goes where. All right? The bigger number, which one's bigger, 3 or 12? 12 takes The first sign. When I say the first sign, I'm talking about up here. The sign under the word different. Okay? So 12, what sign's underneath the word different? Minus. 12 gets the minus, so 3 gets the plus. Am I done?
No.
No, now we have to do what?
Separate it from the parentheses.
Set both parentheses equal to 0. Okay, now am I done?
No.
No. How do I get rid of a plus 3?
Minus.
So x equals negative 3, and how do I get rid of a minus 12? Okay. Questions?
Wait, so how'd you get, how'd you know that the 12 was -3?
Because the bigger number, because you're going to be adding these two numbers together basically. So if they're both positive, they make 15,
Oh,
right?
that's the only way to make it like a -9.
Mm-hmm. So if you let the 3 be negative, it makes a positive 9, because 12 and negative 3 make positive 9. But if the 12's negative, it makes a negative 9. So you just have to kind of play around with it in your head and see which one, when you add them together, is going to give you this middle number. We okay?
Definitely.
X squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 0. Solve by factoring. I want y'all to get as far as you can on this one by yourselves.
Looked up and you're staring right at me.
What is this going to factor into? 2 parentheses. What does x squared have to break down into? X and x. This sign means to, and every time we add, our signs are the
Same.
What are both sides going to be this time?
Negative.
What's underneath the word same, right? A minus. Okay? We have to find factors of 12 that add to make 7, right? So 1 and 12 add to make 13, so that's not it. Luke, turn around. 2 and 6 add to make 8, so we're getting closer. 3 and 4 add to make 7, so that's it. Doesn't matter where they go. No, because the signs are the same. Am I done?
No.
No, now we have to set both parentheses equal to 0. What do we gotta do here? Add what?
3.
So x equals 3 and
X equals
those are your answers. Might just make it 4 questions,
Are you
one of
serious?
each.
Yeah,
4. It means you get a really bad grade if you got
Technically, there's 2 problems, but there's 2 answers to each one, so it'd still be 8 answers.
So if you miss one complete, you get a 75.
You get partial credit, because you have to show work.
Yeah.
Alright,
You gotta fail, gotta fail, gotta fail, gotta fail, gotta fail.
hush.
Stay positive.
Solve by factoring. Get started and go as far as you can. Alright, it's gonna factor into what? 2 parentheses. X squared has to break down into x and x. This minus tells me to subtract. Every time we subtract, our signs are different. So one parentheses has a plus, the other has a minus. We're finding factors of 24 that,
Can't subtract to make 5.
so 1 and 24 subtract to make,
23.
so that's not it.
3.
2 and 12 subtract to make,
10.
3 and 8 subtract to make,
5.
so it's 3 and 8. Does it matter which one goes where?
Yes.
Yes. The bigger number, which is
8.
8, takes the sign under the word different. What sign's under the word different? Plus. So the 8 gets the plus, and the 3 gets the minus. Yes.
Does it matter if like, I don't know if backwards, but it's still x.
So you have x minus 3 and then x plus 8?
Yeah,
That's fine. Because you're still going to get negative 8 and positive 3 is your answer, right?
yeah.
Okay. Now, we're not done. We still have to set both parentheses equal to 0. Subtract 8. X equals negative 8. Add 3. So x equals positive 3. Order doesn't matter here. If you'd gotten x equals 3 first and then x equals -8 second, that's fine. You still got 3 and -8. It would have been wrong if you'd gotten -3 and +8 though, okay? So the signs matter, but not the order. All right? That's the last factoring one we're gonna do. What's next on our list? Quadratic formula. All right.
We're gonna do 4 of each today.
Hey, what was that first problem we did? X squared plus 5x
Plus 6
plus 6 equals 0.
Seattle.
So we're working the same 4 problems every time, guys, because we should get the same answer every time, right?
Oh.
But we're gonna solve it different ways.
Negative b
Right, what is our quadratic formula?
Negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
That's it. Y'all didn't finish.
Because it's cringy.
Nope. Yeah, I didn't finish.
So x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
That's it.
All right, what 3 things do we have to know?
R,
A, B, C.
A, B, and C. What's A?
X.
1. What's B?
5.
And what's C? 6. So now when we plug it in, listen, I know some of you got to where you could just type in the calculator without having to write it down. I gotta see the work. So I gotta see this, and then the next step where you plug it in. All right? On paper before you plug it in on the calculator. So x equals negative, what is B?
You put that in parentheses.
Remember, every time we plug a number in, we always put it in parentheses, plus or minus, square root, there's a B, so I'm gonna put parentheses, what? 5 squared minus 4 parentheses, what's A? 1, close parentheses, C, open parentheses is close parentheses, all over 2A parentheses 1. Now that you've gotten this part written down, you can type that into the calculator to get your 2 answers. You still need to make sure you can do it. They may not be the same on the test tomorrow.
What if they are? What if these are test answers?
They're not,
Right.
because I haven't even made the test yet, so I'll make sure that it's not.
You're gonna like stop teaching because you're gonna just want to play Fortnite all day.
Can we get a decimal?
No, you're a little late,
Or
right?
can you get an error on it?
Like the game's kind of dead.
Here.
No decimal.
That is not true.
No decimals,
I got it down here.
No, that's.
and then you type something in wrong.
Yeah,
I got a square root.
You got it wrong.
I got-
Y'all,
I got the right.
this is the same thing.
Yeah.
As the first
Oh,
one.
we're gonna get the same answer.
We're gonna get the same answers, but those of you typing it in and getting domain error and getting the wrong answer, you know you're
I got
typing
right.
something in wrong, right?
What am I typing in wrong?
Did you put a square?
Yeah.
Wait, mine's 4.
That's square root.
Yeah, I don't know what I got wrong.
Yeah.
Square root. You got it.
A minus at the beginning, it's negative.
Oh.
I got it. Ryan Moore.
Alright, I got it.
Ryan Smith.
Do you see my handwriting?
No, I don't know what I
It's
did
like
wrong.
You gave a
honestly.
chicken stencil.
You look like a crazy scientist.
Why'd you say that? As famous
You're missing
a
the
shepherd
four.
is Robin Hood.
You have to have a four.
Mine has 2.
Y'all, hush. 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 Who else is having trouble typing it in?
Wait, I have a quick question. So like on the test, like I know we have to solve it like the other things like manufacturing, but if we're allowed to check our work for the quadratic formula.
You can always check the quadratic formula as long as I can still see that
Okay,
you
like
worked
as
it.
long as we worked it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. Anyone else have issues typing it in, can't get the right answer? Should have got -2 and -3. We okay there?
Yes.
Okay. What was the second one we did?
X squared minus 9x minus 36 is 0.
All right,
It's the same thing.
hush, hush,
So the X is the 1 for the 8.
because there's nothing in front of x squared, yes. Now remember, you have to write down the quadratic formula, which is,
Oh, every problem we have to write it down.
x equals,
Negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all equals
Oh yeah, make sure you type in negative b because that's like.
y'all, at the very beginning, it's a negative, okay? It's not a minus, it's a negative. You have to type negative on the calculator. We have to have what three things?
A, B, and C.
What is A?
One.
What's B?
-9.
-9, and what's C?
-36.
Okay? You have to write this next step as well. This negative is part of the formula, right? And then B is -9. So you've got two negatives, right? Then B, again, -9 squared minus 4. A is 1, C is -36 all over 2 times A is 1. Now type that in. Did y'all get it typed in correctly?
Yes.
You were able to get the correct answer?
Yes.
So you know what the correct answer should be, which is
3 and negative 12.
Negative.
-3 and -12.
-3 and +12.
I
You
got
did-
positive 3.
Well, then that means that you put -9 instead of -9. You should have had 2 negatives at the front. All right,
Yes.
we good?
Yes.
Do we need to practice any more quadratic formula?
No.
Do we feel okay on typing it in and getting everything good?
Yes.
You good, Luke? Okay. All right, taking square roots. Obviously, these can't be the same as the other ones because when we take square roots, what's always missing?
The X.
The x is always
The x.
missing. We'd only have an x squared, right? Jerry and Dave's, hush.
Can we do the last two?
Are we doing new ones?
Oh, there has to be, yeah.
Hush.
Oh, sorry. Math.
Okay. Taking square roots. When we're taking square roots, we always get the x squared by itself, right?
Yeah.
What's the first thing we have to do to get x squared by itself?
+25.
We gotta add the 25 to both sides. Leaving us with 3x squared equals 36.
Yep.
Now what do I do?
Divide it.
By what?
The 3.
Right, we gotta get rid of that 3 in the front, so we would divide by 3.
12.
So x squared equals 12. Am I done?
Nope. No. Gotta take
No.
the square root.
Square root.
Right, we gotta get rid of the square, so we would
Square.
take the square root.
Root it.
Square root and square cancel, leaving us with x.
Yes.
And what is the square root of 12?
It's
4.
3.5.
3.5 and
Negative.
negative 3.5. Very good. Any questions on that?
Wait, that's easy.
Yep, these are easy.
Is that all?
On these ones,
Take square.
We're gonna do 2 more of these. Y'all are gonna do these 2 by yourself, just so we can make sure that you got it.
say
Okay,
1 or 2 more.
2 more. Stop talking.
I'm stopping.
Hush. Okay, y'all do that one by yourself. What do I do first?
Minus 8.
Minus what?
8 on both
Minus the 8 on both sides.
Oh crap, it is weird.
So 4x squared equals
12.
12. What do I do next?
Divide both sides by 4.
Divide both sides by 4.
X squared equals 3.
So x squared equals 3, then what?
Square root. Take out the
Crap,
square.
I think this whole thing.
X equals 3, or it should, 3 squared is like 1.7.
Square root of 3
Square root of 3 is 1.7.
and
Negative 1.
All right, one more of these.
Okay.
Someone got paid.
Was me. Getting rats. Okay, so, you good?
All right, Davis, tell me what to do first.
Okay. So you're gonna plus that 15.
Thank you.
You're gonna get 35.
Oh.
That's it. Okay. Okay, so do 7x squared on one side. Then you're gonna divide your 7 and you're gonna get 5. Now, you're gonna take away squared and you're gonna put a random square root and you're going to cross both of them out. Good. Now you're going to get 2.2 and negative 2 for your answers.
Thank you, Davis. Appreciate
No
you.
problem. I got you.
So are we good on taking square roots?
Yes.
Okay.
Shut up, stupid.
So what's our last one?
Completing this one.
Completing the squares.
The easiest one.
All right, so I need the third problem that we worked.
7x minus 15 equals
Yeah, that one.
The third one that we worked from the very beginning.
Oh.
The
It's
X
square minus
X squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 2.
0.
All right, we're solving this one by completing the square. Please hush. All right, we're gonna solve this by completing the square. First thing we have to do is we have to get rid of the old C, right? What is the old C?
12.
How do you get rid of 12?
You're gonna minus it.
Gotta minus it.
Yeah.
So we've got x squared minus 7x, leave a space. X 0 minus 12 is
negative 12.
negative 12. Now what do I have to do?
You have to square.
We have to make
No.
a new C, right?
divide
What's the formula for the new C?
B over 2
B over 2
parentheses.
squared.
squared, yeah.
What is B here?
Negative
7.
It's just 7.
Negative
Yeah,
7.
7.
Ooh. 7 over 2 is
Hold
3.5,
up.
right?
3.5. 7 divided by 2, not times 2. And what's 3.5 squared? 12.25. That's what we're adding to both sides, right? Is everyone okay with that? B over 2 squared, right? The whole point in doing this was so that it would make a parentheses squared, right? This x squared is just going to become an x. We take the middle sign, minus, and what was half of 7?
3.5.
3.5. Equals, what's negative 12 plus 12.25? 0.25. Are we done? No, we still have to get rid of the square, right? How do I get rid of a square?
Except for both equals.
Nope. How do I get rid of a square?
I know how to do it, I
You
just
do the
don't know.
square.
Oh, square root.
Square root.
Oh, oh, yeah, 'cause we gotta take the
So
square.
the square root and the square cancel, leaving me with x minus 3.5. Square root of 0.25 is probably going to be close to square root of 25, right? It is 0.5. And
Negative 0.5.
negative 0.5. How do I get rid of a minus 3.5? Plus 3.5. What's 0.5 plus 3.5? 4.
Negative 4.
Just because that one's 4 doesn't mean your next one is negative 4. What is negative 0.5 plus 3.5?
3.
3.
What? I think we're done.
Nope.
That prop.
What was the fourth one? Just read it out to me.
Wait, I lost it. I think, x squared plus 5x.
Okay, I don't want to do that. Okay. We ready for the next one? Okay, solving by completing the square. Want y'all to get as far as you can by yourself. This should be the most fresh on your minds. So y'all should be able to get pretty far on it.
Was there a curve on the quiz?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
Oh, just kidding.
You can tell me what I said all day long, but I don't remember if I said it or
Just
not.
kidding. There's no. I remember my quiz grade. But I tried to.
I think there were some hundreds, so I don't think there was a curve. Davis, you need to try and work this problem. All right, what do we gotta get rid of first? The old C. So how do we get rid of a minus 24? So x squared plus 10x, leave a space, equals 24. Now we gotta find the new C. What's the formula for the new C?
B over 2.
Squared.
Squared. What is B? 10 over 2 is 5 squared is 25. So I'm adding 25 just to one side?
Both sides.
To both sides. The whole point in doing this was so it would factor into a parentheses squared. What is 24 plus 25?
49.
49. What's going to go here?
X plus 10.
Plus 5.
Nope.
Plus 5.
You take half of 10, which is 5. All right? How do I get rid of the square? So those cancel. X plus 5 equals
7 and negative
and x plus 5 equals -7. How do I get rid of a plus 5?
Minus.
Two.
So x equals 2. All right. You have a test over all of this tomorrow. It will be 4 questions, 1 of each. You have to know how to work each one because I have to see work on each one. All right?